And that was ugly. Ugly offense as the Warriors turned the ball over, and Anthony Edwards was just too much as the T-Wolves win their fourth consecutive game, and the Warriors are now 1-6 over their last 7 games. Last night they beat Houston. The vibes were great today. However, without Andrew Wiggins and Moses Moody in that second half, we'll see where the vibes are at after this one, but the Warriors do lose to the T-Wolves, and they'll meet again on Sunday as the Warriors will try to get the split, but we'll try to break it down here on Toyota Warriors Postgame Live with the pride of Yale, Zena Cada, NBA champion Festus Ezeli. I am Bonte Hill live here at the Gatehouse here at Thrive City and Zena. We're sitting there in the second half, and we were just despondent because the Warriors just could not get over the hump in this basketball game.
It was rough to watch. Everything that you expected the Warriors to be able to do in terms of disrupting what the Wolves wanted to do, that's what they were doing. They were in transition. They were in passing lanes. They were making sure that whatever the Warriors wanted to do offensively, defensively, was just ruined. And it was just tough to watch because they couldn't find an answer.
No doubt.
I mean, defensively, they controlled tempo for 3/4 of this game. And the Warriors did not follow up the last game where you had the team playing without Steph Curry, Draymond. You thought when Steph and Draymond came back this game, they were going to have the firepower to be able to overcome the Minnesota Timberwolves. But the Minnesota Timberwolves were led by Anthony Edwards. His energy, his fire, he is absolutely driven to be special. And tonight, he really drove that team defensively. They were all over the place. Led the Warriors to 22 turnovers. 22 turnovers, getting out-rebounded, shooting 28% from the three-point line. That's just not going to cut it, Bucks.
And it started in that second quarter. After we had a great great first quarter, I should say. It was 31-31 at the end of one, and the Warriors were moving the ball, hopping around offensively. But then the T-Wolves opened that second quarter on a 17-4 run. It eventually went on a 25-8 run that opened up a 19-point lead, and the Warriors were never able to recover, Zena.
It was just confusing, especially when you saw that the Warriors had the vibes from the second quarter. They went on a 26-5 run from the last 2 minutes in the second quarter going into the first. You saw Steph Curry come out, get fouled from 3. Then you saw JK to the basket. You thought, okay, they're going to start rolling. And then all of a sudden, things got a little bit hot for the Minnesota Timberwolves. That was the difference in this game, Bonte. Yep. The Timberwolves hit their open shots. The Warriors did not.
And you see in that second quarter, 1-9 from the three-point line, and the turnovers. We were watching in the tunnel, Fezzi. You looked up to the scoreboard, you said, wait, the Warriors only have 2 points right now? They were stuck on 2 for the first 5 minutes of that frame.
Bad turnovers, just bad chemistry overall. Something's not right in that lineup mix-up. Something is happening where the Warriors are not getting to their spots. They're forcing things in transition, really trying to get the pace up, but not doing it the right way, not pushing the ball up. I thought Anthony Edwards, and we talked before the game about how the Minnesota Timberwolves, there's a little bit of a rivalry brewing. Yeah. The way you win a matchup like that is whichever team is able to rally their team behind them to get it back into the defensive transition, to do all the little things to win a game. I thought the Warriors were not locked in this game tonight.
Zena, take care of the basketball. It's the simplest thing to get into rhythm here. When you turn the ball over, you don't get into a flow, you don't get into a rhythm, and that will do you in. You see the turnovers right here. Portland, he had 18. The Clippers have turned them over both times, 40 in those 2 games. But tonight, it really reared its ugly head in the second half when they had 13 turnovers in the second half alone.
And the Timberwolves were just in the right positions, and they knew what the Warriors wanted to do. They wanted to drive and kick. There were so many times that the Warriors would go in transition, get to the very baseline, and then turn back and throw it in the defensive, the people that were just filling in defensive positions. It didn't make any sense. But on your point, Festus, when you were talking about who can rally your team, that was the difference, because it wasn't as if the Warriors weren't capable of making their own runs. It was that they were making their own runs, and then it would take them minutes, several minutes, to get the next bucket. To go from 63 points to 64 points took 5.5 minutes. That's wasted time. That's wasted time and wasted effort.
There's no doubt about that. And the losing streak here. We talk about something maybe building between these 2 teams. Minnesota's feeling very comfortable at chasing her. They've won 4 in a row inside this building. They've won 6 of 7 against the Golden State Warriors, including 5 straight. So their lineups, whether it's Randall and Gobert down low, Naz Reid coming off the bench, or Anthony Edwards, the T-Wolves right now, Fezzi Fell, have the Warriors number.
Well, Rudy Gobert and Naz Reid own the paint tonight. Both of those guys, it's really hard to score against Rudy anyway. This is a guy who's won 2 Defensive Player of the Years, and you could see it tonight. The Warriors, a small ball lineup, being able to really struggle in finishing around the paint. Kevon Looney, TJD, it was their job to go against these bigs, and I felt like the bigs, the Minnesota Timberwolves bigs, they won that matchup. The reason why they were the more physical guys. They out-rebounded the Warriors tonight. They scored more points in the paint. All those things was a result of being a bigger team. And the Warriors small ball lineup, the way you win with that lineup, you have to be faster.
Yep.
You got to move the ball. You got to make them pay from the three-point line. None of these things were done tonight.
And you got to make them feel you, too. You talked about the rebounding. Naz Reid and Rudy Gobert, the only two players to have 10 or more rebounds tonight. And that is not characteristic of the Warriors. That's what they're known for. This is their bread and butter. And you look, Kevon Looney started well, I would say, against Rudy Gobert. Made him force some shots. He couldn't finish easily around the basket. But that's where what dropped off is that you couldn't see or you couldn't feel them later on in the game. You couldn't feel them make the Timberwolves bigs feel uncomfortable when they got inside.
And Anthony Edwards didn't feel the physicality
No,
either, as you mentioned,
no.
Zeta, because he had 12 at the break. But in the second half, he heated up, and he let everybody hear about it in the fourth quarter. 18
Chirp.
of his 30 in the second half. In the second half, Z, 7 of 10, 2 of 5 from the three-point line. He dropped 9 dimes tonight. He grabbed 4 rebounds. He defended at a high level, and he chirped at a high level. He was a Hall of Fame trash talker tonight here inside the Chase Center.
He was a dog, and this is what we know about Anthony Edwards. He is a dog, and when you let a dog off the leash, they go crazy, okay? Especially mine. He'll go down the street if he can. Literally, this is what Anthony Edwards is capable of doing. If you let him get hot, he will stay hot, and then he'll let you hear about it. And that's what you hate to see. When you talk about rallying your team, you got Anthony Edwards, the most fiery player in the NBA, I would say, talking crap to Steph Curry. Yeah, in his face, you don't want to get him going, and that's what happened. Anthony Edwards got going, and the team rallied right behind him, and the Warriors couldn't find the equivalent in their roster.
Anthony Edwards is absolutely driven to be special in the league. And you know, Steph Curry, who is the face of the NBA, you have a young guy coming in saying, I want that spot. I want to be that tough, that next guy. So Anthony Edwards, you can see him rallying the troops. You saw him limping to the locker room at halftime. But what I saw in the second half was him rallying the troops coming back. The Warriors made a run. His streak of threes broke the Warriors' run in the third quarter, and you could just see him hit whatever extra energy he had. He gave it tonight defensively, really chasing the guards off the ball, so chasing them off their spots. Steph Curry couldn't get loose at all there in the second half. It's just tonight was all about his energy and him being the leader of the Minnesota Timberwolves.
And he let everybody know about it. You mentioned letting Steph Curry know about it. These two teams meet on Sunday. These two teams had drama last season. And with the way Anthony was talking to Steve Kerr, Draymond Green, the referees, Stephen Curry, Joe Lacob, you know that's going to linger in that Warriors locker room.
I'm not. If you're watching film after this game, I'm not even showing anything offensively, anything defensive of the Warriors. All I'm showing is Anthony Edwards talking to Steph as he's walking by. All I'm showing is Anthony Edwards talking to Steve Kerr on the bench as he's walking by. This is a young man in this league who's making a name for himself, but for the Warriors, this is really about pride and taking over. I want Jonathan Kuminga. I want you to follow up on the performance you had last night. These are things that the Warriors are looking for consistency, and I think the Warriors, they have all the pieces. It's just about putting it together.
And that's the thing. This is a back-to-back. We have to remember that. This is still a back-to-back. You can explain, tired legs, slower starts, etc. But that was the difference. They had 2 starters sitting yesterday, right? So you're thinking, okay, yes, it's a back-to-back, but you got 4 sets or 4 legs that are fresh, and that's where you didn't see. Even though Steph Curry had a quiet game, 5 of 15, not what you want out of your superstar. And then again, that second scoring option. Jonathan Kuminga had 33 last night. Ends up tonight, 13?
13 points, yeah.
You got to get more out of him.
No, there's no doubt about that. As Anthony Edwards said last season, hey, Phoenix may have Kevin Durant, but we have Jaden McDaniels. So Jaden McDaniels did a spectacular job on Stephen Curry, making him work for everything he had to earn. And not to mention, the Warriors lost Andrew Wiggins and Moses Moody tonight. Early in the third quarter at the 10:07 mark, Andrew Wiggins left the game. He's been dealing with the right ankle impingement. He had 23 and 9 last night. He was special against the Rockets as well. Right here, re-aggravated that injury early in the third quarter, and he limped straight to the locker room. So we'll see about his status for Sunday, but that didn't look good there. He was already questionable to play tonight. And Moses Moody, he didn't return after playing limited minutes in the first quarter. So right now, Zena, the depth is getting tested of the Golden State Warriors. This is the team that opened up the season playing 13 guys, 12 to 13 guys. Well, I don't know if you can find 2 healthy bodies right now. You may be calling somebody up from the G right now.
Literally. No, it's scary to think, some of the discomfort you saw from the Warriors tonight is because of their lineup variance. You're out there playing with guys that you may not be used to, and you have to figure out how can we get things going offensively when we're not used to playing together. You saw people telling guards, go to the other side to set up the split action, right? Not understanding where to be in transition. So all of this lineup variance is a new challenge that you're going to see, especially with Moody out of the lineup and Wiggins out of the lineup. Who knows for how long?
Hopefully it's not long-term, Fezzi.
Right.
That's a scary thought of Andrew Wiggins being out, because this is a guy who has fought through a lot of injuries and fought through some discomfort, even the last couple games. Last game, Steve Kerr saying, I don't know if Andrew Wiggins would have played tonight, but he knew that Draymond Green, Steph Curry were out, and they needed to win the last game against the Houston Rockets, so he played. Tonight, him limping off the court, that's not a good sign, but, hopefully he gets back on the court. The Warriors have talked a lot about their depth. Moses Moody being out tonight as well. That's another guy who could have stepped in for him. So you got Steve Kerr reaching into the bench, Pat Spencer, Lindy Waters. These are guys that Steve Kerr has been high on, but really the moral of the game tonight was the Warriors' mindless turnovers. They never could get into any kind of rhythm. It doesn't matter who's on the floor. Like, you need to be able to take advantage of the Steph Curry gravity. There were multiple plays where Steph is driving into the paint. There's 4 guys on Steph, and 3 guys are bunched up in one corner from the Warriors. That can't happen. That's not Warrior-style basketball, and the defense is just – defense was feasting.
Yeah, this basically was a problem there with Stephen Curry in that second half, and Wiggins missing him early in the third quarter was pretty ironic, right? Anthony Edwards goes off for 18 points in the second half. Well, who would have been his primary defender? Andrew Wiggins. So now you have one less defender for the Ant-Man, who is starting to fill it here, and the T-Wolves win their 4th in a row, but the turnovers. You guys both played at a high level. You played at Yale.
Yeah.
You won a championship here. What can you do to cure the turnover bug?
Well, they were doing things you want them to do. Some of these turnovers were just errant passes. They were trying to get over the defense in transition. They were trying to drive and kick, but they weren't communicating well. It was a lot of, again, I think they just weren't as comfortable in some of these lineups, not understanding, okay, this guy's going to drive to the basket. Let me rotate. Let me make sure that I'm in his eye line. And that's what you saw a lot of people kind of watching and staring, not locked in the way that they needed to be. That can happen on the back-to-back, but that can also happen when you're out there with someone you're usually not.
I mean, so many plays tonight, where guys were expecting the guy to really pull up. When you drive, you have a guy pull up on the backside, but guys are playing out of their positions. Andrew Wiggins being out calls guys to play, play the 2, play the 3, and you're used to playing a different position. So that's one thing they're going to have to contend with. It's really tough when you don't have a lot of practice in the NBA in the middle of the season. Now you have to learn during the game. That's what you saw a lot tonight. And on the back-to-back as well, you really don't have any time on the court. So for the Warriors, figuring that out. There's a lot of high IQ guys on the team. You got, Kyle Anderson, Buddy Hield. They need to find a way to get Buddy Hield going. That's another guy that the Warriors are really missing. We've talked about the bench being so good this season so far. Right now, Buddy Hield and his shot, they need to find a way to get him open shots.
You took my next thought here. Buddy Hield just 2 of 7 tonight off the bench. 6 points there, bro. Not impactful whatsoever tonight as the Warriors. They've lost 6 of their last 7. They lose to the T-Wolves for the 5th consecutive time. And the T-Wolves have won 6-7 against the Warriors. We're going to hear from Steve Kerr on the other side on how the Warriors let off the rope here. The T-Wolves outscored the Dubs 29-18 in the 4th quarter and roll by 17.
Toyota Warriors Post Game Live is